Hey everyone, Cole Wilkins here, channel partner specialist with Birdeye. I hope you have been enjoying Birdeye so far and everything today and earlier today. You've heard from some of our top brands and key industry leaders like Neil Patel. We greatly appreciate you being here. Incredibly excited to welcome you to our agency focused panel today. So this session is going to be a little bit different. And for our channel and agency folks, you guys will be hearing how leading agencies are navigating AI disruption to drive scale, efficiency, and differentiation. We've got some amazing panelists joining us today with some real world insights from early adoption challenges, client skepticism, to practical use cases like automating repetitive tasks, scaling content, and leveraging AI-powered agencies. So we'll explore strategies for packaging and positioning AI solutions. We will hear how some of the lessons that we've learned and more. But before we get started, I'm going to pass it off to our panelists to give us a quick introduction. And JD, I'm going to get started with you, sir.
I'm JD Daymeyer with a company called Bazinga, digital marketing agency. Primarily, we're out of the Indianapolis, Indiana area, and I've been in the space since about 2010.
Awesome, JD. Thanks so much. Sean?
Hey everybody, Sean White. My company is Whiteboard Marketing. We're out of Columbus, Ohio. Go Buckeyes. Been in business for 20 years. And digital marketing agency, full digital comprehensive, focus on lots of small businesses in different verticals, including dentists, plastic surgeons, dermatologists, home improvement, and so on and so forth.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Adrian?
Hey guys, my name is Adrian Leffler. I'm the CEO of My Social Practice. We've been working specifically with dentists since 2009, and we're a dental digital marketing company.
Thanks, Adrian. And that leaves us with Mr. Jimmy.
Yeah, glad to be here. I'm Jimmy Gibson, a VP at Thrive Agency. We're a full service digital marketing agency, also been around for 20 years. We've got about 1,000 active clients across a variety of verticals to include home service, legal, medical, a variety of fun things to work on every day.
Very good. So everyone who's here with us today, you guys have some awesome panelists to share their experiences. We're grateful that they're here. Before we dive in, a few housekeeping items that you might be familiar with by now. Please use the Q&A tab on the right-hand side of your screen to ask us any questions that you have. We'll provide some real-time responses to those. And in the Docs tab, you will find relevant resources for this session. So bookmark that. Now let's get started. We are going to cover a couple of different topics today, everyone, but we are going to get started with AI trends and skepticism. So this is going to be a little bit more broadly speaking, but I'm curious to hear from everyone here. What are some of the bigger trends that you guys are seeing in AI, but specifically as it relates to digital marketing right now? And JD, I'm going to start with you and pass that question off to you.
I mean, that's a great question. I think it's changing every day, right? I definitely, I think there's a lot of room for growth in the space as far as understanding, but currently, inside of our agency, we use it for sure, and have used different platforms. There's a lot of platforms out there that offer up a lot of opportunities for productivity and things like that. And then on the retail or the customer side of it, and who we service, there's just a lot of things that have made it more productive for us to be more productive, for us to be more. I guess the right word would be proficient, not just proficient, but exact, right? These AI tools, when set up correctly, they don't make mistakes. So it's been both sides, but so there you go.
Okay. And what I'm curious, out of the two angles there, JD, which one do you prefer more working on or learning more about right now?
I think they go hand in hand, right? Anything that I'm doing for a customer, I'm probably going to really look at doing for for myself as far as our company. So they go hand in hand. Whether it's some agents, we call them agents, but maybe it's an automated agent for an assistant. Let's just use that word assistant. Like I have my own assistant, and it's going pretty well. And if I was going to give that to a customer and do something for them, I would want to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, totally hear you with that. And similarly, Birdeye, we're working on similar things and helping not just our channel partners, but obviously our direct retail customers drive those efficiencies with agents. I'm sure you guys have seen some of the work we've done, as it pertains to content generation and social, or helping you guys craft review responses that are tailored to your customer's brand and their industry. So. We feel you on the excitement there. Adrian, how about you? What are some trends that you guys are seeing right now in digital marketing, and maybe they're similar, maybe they're different than what JD had to share there?
Well, the trends are kind of like being set right now because there's just so much software development being done that it's almost overwhelming. Well, it is overwhelming. I mean, every day there's new tools coming out that have an AI application in them that solve a workflow problem. And so, if you just start digging in, you're going to find just an immense amount of content capabilities, content creation capabilities, and workflow capabilities. On the skepticism side, there's quite a bit of skepticism. I think the skepticism is occurring because it's kind of a land grab right now where everybody's developing software, and a lot of these companies will fizzle out. Their products won't develop in the right development model, and they may not be productive, or they'll get bought out by larger companies. So I think that there's a little bit of skepticism in the industry because people aren't sure yet the quality of the application of whatever the AI tool may be. But in the long run, this is going to be a fundamental shift in frankly, humanity. I mean, we're not going to, this is going to be like before the internet. In 10 years from now, we'll look back and we're not going to understand how we function as a society without some type of AI application being used. So there's skepticism in the beginning, but in the long run, as the products and services develop and they become more refined and they become more targeted in terms of their quality and their capabilities, people are just it's gonna be above and beyond what we think the capabilities might be. So early skepticism, but at long term, it's gonna play out that it's gonna be very, very helpful.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And, at the pace, it seems like when there's one bit of skepticism, that next iteration is solving that skepticism. And that trend will probably continue for quite some time. But I'm in totally agreement with you. Like, it is inevitable that this is, this is a shift unlike we've not seen before. So might as well start learning now and adopting now and get in the weeds. Rather than just be left behind and at the end of the story. But Sean, Jimmy, want to also bring you into this conversation. Whichever one of you would like to take it first, but I'm curious, what are some of the trends and skepticism you guys are seeing right now as it relates to AI and digital specifically?
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Thanks. Trend wise, I think it's just education. As we all said, something that comes across in our inbox every day from all the sources that you sign up for with some type of a tool or a gadget or whatnot to kind of use AI for. But the key, I think, is the trend is to try it. It's trial by fire. And a lot of these trends that are coming, when you try these AI tools, they all come with some type of a pricing mechanism. You gotta, you're signing up for a lot of different things. I think I mentioned to a group the other day. It's, you see Netflix and Amazon and Apple TV and all these different subscriptions, and you're, holy cow, you get all these things on how much are you actually using it for? What are you watching? It's the same thing with AI, but it's important. You look at it as an investment. So the trend is to bring it onto a tool, for a certain service department or whatnot, and see what works best for you. And then obviously that's sharing, what's working. So skepticism wise, is this sustainable? Is there another tool out there that can consolidate three that you're using that's more effective, more price friendly for agencies? Trying to keep cost down and profitability up. And then skepticism, I think media has a lot to do with AI too. So, when you hear SEO is dead, I don't believe that. It's just a different version of what SEO looks like. So the skepticism, I think you got to take with a grain of salt too, and dig in and make your own decisions on some of the things that the internet media is trying to get across to all agencies and clients and users alike.
Yeah, I think that's greatly said, Sean. Appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, it's interesting. I actually see, a lot of people, there's a lot of buzz out there like agency, AI is going to take over, the work that agencies are doing. And, that same concept is being, you're seeing that in other places. I actually think an agency is just as important, if not more important, in the age of AI, because some of the skepticism that you're seeing from that small business owner, that dental, that one location dental practice owner who their job is to work with their patients, right, and deal with their patients, not to adopt AI. That's where you guys come in and help them run their business better, generate more patients, have better retention, and so forth. So very good. Jimmy, why don't you wrap us up on this topic, and then we are going to shift to topic number 2. If you think everything's been covered on this one, totally fine, but curious to see if you are seeing anything different, any trends and skepticism on the from the Thrive side.
Yeah, I would say I agree with all the other gentlemen on the call. And one thing that we see is a mixed bag of excitement, fear, and maybe digging your heels in a little bit that I'm not going to let this take over. But I would say a lot of the conversations we have are around more regulated industries related to maybe legal, medical, finance, banking, how secure is the environment, what are the risks associated with that when we get into some of our enterprise or franchise or multi-location businesses. How can we keep consistent brand voice? And really, I think somebody else mentioned it comes down to education. What are you comfortable with? What can we provide as far as our knowledge that may ease that fear a little bit? And so I would say we navigate it on a client by client basis.
Very good. Yeah, education is extremely important. So good stuff there, Jimmy. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. We are now going to shift our focus and talk a little bit about agency challenges and opportunities. So this first question that I want to turn to our panelist here is a bit more broad, not necessarily tied to AI, but the secondary question I will have for you guys is kind of how AI is helping out with that. But curious, Jimmy, I'm going to come back to you on this one. What are some of the biggest challenges, Thrive is facing today? Maybe not just today, but over the, last 6 to 12 months, and how has AI had an impact on that?
Yeah, so I think Sean mentioned related to SEO uncertainty. That is a primary service. We're often known for our SEO, and we get a lot of questions about, is all of my ranking going to vanish? And, again, it's an educational opportunity to say, if you've been doing things white hat and you've been participating in the traditional methods of SEO, you should be good, but we need to keep an eye on things. We need to understand the difference in the way a search query happens with a traditional search engine result page related to the changes now in a no-click environment. And then what is it going to take to show up in those LLMs ongoing? And so the other thing that we are seeing is, because we have all of these new tools at everyone's disposal, everyone believes they're a content producer. And so we see a lot of content that comes back that's very generic, and it's going to drive visibility down for brands. They really need to be thinking about their expertise, experience, authority, trustworthiness, and those are the types of brands that we see are sort of rising to the surface. And again, trying to educate and to work through all of these changes that seem to be happening on a daily basis, and what may have been working like a listicle a few weeks ago might not be the same thing that's working a few weeks from now. So just staying on top of it.
Yeah, really good. Thank you, Jimmy. Adrian, want to throw that same question to you. What are some of the biggest challenges you guys are facing, and how's AI helping you adapt?
Well, I think there's far more opportunity leveraging AI in from an agency's perspective than there are challenges. The capabilities of some of the automation out there that are like through make.com or N8N or the other 1,000 different automation softwares enables an agency to streamline processes, drop costs, and become more competitive. And so the agencies out there that lean into really figuring out how to restructure their teams and their activities and tasks and so forth are going to definitely be at an advantage for sure. We use, just as an example, we use some automation and some AI in our content, our copywriting. It's not to the to Jimmy's. Was it Jimmy? I think just mentioned. A lot of thought, a lot of AI junk copywriting. That's not what we're doing. It's a pretty sophisticated automation service, but we used to be able to write 500 pages of copy a month with 2 copywriters, and now we can do 1,500 with 1. So it doesn't necessarily remove people from the team, but it enables an agency to just get super competitive. The challenge with this is, when do you jump? When do you start actually saying, oh, here's a process that looks like it's going to work, and then spending the time and the energy to implement the process, and not jump too quick, because the capabilities of softwares that are coming out they're coming out so fast that to Sean's comment about consolidation in industries or softwares that might be able to do more than another, if you move too quick, you end up restructuring a process, a task inside your team, and then find out in a month that there's a better product and service that would streamline it even better. So you just kind of, the challenge is trying to decide, when do you pull the trigger to make a fundamental change to the way that you're delivering your product, and not do it too quick, because you don't want to have to go through the same process over and over and over again in terms of restructuring tasks and assignments and so forth. So I think the most important thing to do is to really just get neck deep in what's out there and what's available. And once you've got a pretty good understanding about what's on the market and what's kind of coming to market, you can find that 90% of the products and services out there are junk, and they're not necessarily going to be a long-term software partner. It might be a flash in the pan kind of thing. I see that as the biggest challenge in terms of implementing AI with an agency.
Yeah, and I think this is something that your customers and even you guys as buyers of AI technology should be. And it sounds like, Adrian, you're well adapted and understand some of the challenges there. But a lot of companies, what we see is that they just slap the word AI on there and not really integrate it into their product. And it's just a wrapper of like ChatGPT, for example. And if let's say, for example, you're trying to generate content for, a dental practice in Duncanville, Texas, right? That's going to be very different than trying to market yourself, in any other geography. And that's just one, example. So how do you know that when you go invest in a solution that it's going to be, it's going to train to who you are and be what you need it to be for your business? And I think That's something that Birdeye has engineered really well with what we call Birdeye. Allowing you to, really craft your business to the AI so that output is very specific to the outcomes that you're trying to drive. And I think that's a really clear distinction. And, kind of to your point, some of these ones that, are probably won't make it to,
and if they're not backed well, if it's a dude in his underwear in his mom's house building software, which they can now. I mean, a single guy can build a piece of software and start selling it, right? If they're not backed, they're not going to have any long-term viability. So you want to look at companies that are developing products that are in line with your long-term goals and that are well backed and that have a really strong development schedule. So that that you're locking arms with a piece of software that's gonna it's gonna provide long-term benefit. So
exactly. Yeah. And if there's anyone in here who is, thinking about Birdeye as a potential solution for them, we have more AI engineers than we do salespeople. So something that we take very sincerely, and I think resonates with your point there, Adrian. So thank you. Let's bring Sean into this one. Sean, what are some of the biggest challenges your agency is facing today or has been facing today, and how has AI helped you navigate?
Yeah, definitely agree with Adrian. The opportunities are endless. I think we all know that, and they're exciting. There's just, if you really grasp it, there's so many opportunities, and you're kind of in one of those stages where do we start? How do we take advantage of these opportunities? And that's where some of these challenges come in, because AI has hit us upside the head, but we still have our everyday, duties and responsibilities to our clients to take care of. And most agencies are fairly nimble and tight. A lot of people wear more than one hat. And to bring on this AI piece, Notebook LM and Gemini this and Claude that. And, I think we all get the point in saying, hey, I want you to find, or I want you to use this. I want you to trial this and test this. And that just adds on to their plate, which is most of the time already more than full, right? So the challenge is that balance between what their current workload is and when we're trying to get them to understand what the tool is. And then again, to Adrian's point, everyone else, once that tool is understood, integrated, it may not be as good as it needs to be, and it could be a better solution. So that's the balance and the challenge that we're seeing is just, and I'm saying, listen, guys, AI is something you should probably want to learn outside of work hours anyway, and not to take that as I want you to work more than you're supposed to and I get paid for, but it's world changing, and you need to understand and learn about it anyhow for both personal and business, not just for whiteboard marketing. So I just think the amount of content and the pace that it's coming in has presented those types of challenges for our agency. But at the same time, there are small wins that you can have with AI, whether it's content production or workflows. And what does all that mean? Well, you got to dig in and try it. So, but super excited about the opportunities, and I think something new comes up every day, and it's a challenge that comes with it, but the opportunities by far outweigh the challenges.
Hey, Sean, can I piggyback on that with one really quick thing that I think is important? So the anxiety that starts to arise in our organizations or other agencies is that the transition of AI and its implications on marketing as well as just consumer behavior and everything is moving so fast. It's moving, so fast. Like ChatGPT gets 2.5 billion queries a day. That's like a 40,000% increase over a year ago or something like that. That's a ridiculous amount. So it's not like you can sit back and just chill and wait till everything kind of settles, because then you're 6 months behind somebody who's begin to implement and strategize and streamline, and you're kind of lost a little bit. So there's this really awkward kind of place where CEOs like us are going, Well, how fast do we move? Because it's moving so fast. The consumer behavior is shifting so quickly to like AI search or whatever it might, AI content creation or whatever it might be, that you have to do something. So it's just like this really kind of awkward place where you're like, okay, do I move? Do I hold? Do I move? Do I hold? So I would say just one more point is that the best thing to do is to find, it's not to rechange your entire company and just say, we got to like scrap it and start over. You find incremental changes. I think that was the word that you used, Sean. You find a friction point in your processes that can be solved now that doesn't ultimately change the entire way that your processes work. And you do that until you recognize that there's a way that there's a larger friction point. But you start with small, tiny areas of repetitive behavior that can be solved by AI, and you simply quickly move in towards a company and organization that is AI driven, but you're not starting your company over based on AI. You know what I mean? That's I think is an important point, and the problem that I have found to be most difficult.
I would venture to say that if a business owner decided to go head first and just completely rip and replace everything that they are doing, they're probably going to find themselves in a really challenging position, more so before than making that decision. So yeah, I think that approach is extremely important, Adrian. Something else that got brought up in this discussion, which is, hey, consumer behavior is changing rapidly, and people are using Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gemini now to go, find answers rather than blue links. We're even seeing that in local search. I know everyone here is near and dear to their hearts. How are you guys talking to your customers about maybe any decrease in web traffic that they're seeing, or how are you guys navigating that conversation or challenge?
I'll start on that one. I don't think that it's less search volume. That's the crazy thing is it's just where the customers have moved, or where the search volume is at. So when you specifically when you're talking about SEO, I mean, that's an SEO question, right? So specifically when you're talking about SEO, the first thing I found myself doing it just last week. It was kind of entertaining. I'll share it with you. I went to one of our clients' places, sat down. We're good friends. We've been customer of ours for years, and we sit down, and they're kind of against the AI thing, right? They're in that nervous stage. They don't buy in yet. And so what we did is I just did a search for who's the best. Let's just say they're a plumber. Who's the best plumber in our city and town, right in Perplexity. And the results that you get, if you really look at the results of what it gives you, it gives you a grid. It tells you the 4 best ones. It's got check marks and comparison charts and all kinds of stuff. I mean, you don't get that kind of search results from Google in today's world, at least. They'll probably change their interface very fast. I'm sure they're going to follow some trends really quick. But think about that. And so when we started really diving into what was on there, they do 24/7 service, but Perplexity wasn't aware of it. So then we went to GPT, and some of those competitors showed up that way, right? And they didn't show up in the top 4, just so you know. So then we went, it's called GPT search now. That's Chat GPTs, right? We went and looked at that. So it's a paradigm shift of, hey, my traffic's down. Well, if your traffic's down, then you're just missing where the traffic is at. Yeah. The same with the search volume is happening. We're all accustomed to looking at Google Trends, Google Analytics, Google this, Google that. The problem is that there's not a lot of reporting on all that other stuff. But when you look at Perplexity or ChatGPT or these AI search models or knowledge bases, I guess, that traffic is going to come into your website at some point, right? I mean, generally speaking, maybe it doesn't. Maybe they just call you straight from there because all that information is there too. So there's not the backside that's scary about it. What looks like less traffic may not be less traffic. So I think the guys that I try to look at phone calls. We try to analyze a little bit outside of the normal KPIs of of SEO, but we're looking at phone calls, text messages, whatever, communication, touch points, because there is no reporting from ChatGPT on how many people clicked on a link inside of ChatGPT or just called from there.
Gonna keep us moving here, guys. We are quickly coming up on time, but have some more good topics that we need to get to. This next topic, guys, is really going to be about adoption and practice. What's working, right? So we've talked a lot about things that are being implemented. Some things work, some things not work. I'm curious to know what have been the most meaningful or significant use cases that you guys have seen? Is it more on the fulfillment side of things? Is it on the pre-sales side of things? Is it in the sales process? Maybe a blend of everything. Adrian, why don't we start with you? What have been the most impactful use cases for you?
I would say threefold for us. One, we're using it heavily in lead gen, and that's in our own content creation, whether it be copywriting, image creation, video creation, strategic like campaign idea development. So on the front end, on the lead gen, we use AI with our teams to help streamline processes there. We're using it in all of our fulfillment. We use it in our social media product. We use it in our SEO product or GEO product, whatever you want to call it now. Like I mentioned, because there wasn't a product out there, we went and built a way to track all the citations. So I'll definitely take a look at your product. Citations in AI overviews, that kind of stuff. So we're using it in fulfillment. We're reporting on that to our clients. And then we're using it to streamline interpersonal connectivity with the teams, communications, taking notes, assigning tasks. So we're kind of like using it in a lot of different places in our company. And it's just everywhere basically.
Yeah, that's good. Would you say you are, well, where did you start? What did you lean into more heavily from the get-go? And has that same trend continued, or has it kind of like,
So we got into it because we got into AI heavily as soon as ChatGPT launched in November 2022. And the problem that we had is we needed an AI chat tool. And we looked at a lot of different products, even Birdeye's product, and we needed something that was super, super custom to dentistry. And so we know we needed a web chat product because 15% of the practices in the United States have web chat, 85% don't. And most of the web chat products out there are complete junk. Yeah. And they're usually just forms, or they don't know anything about the practice. So we developed and built an AI web chat that was a product. So we started with a product, and that took off. We added phone assistants. So now we have a phone assistant that picks up calls 24/7. And what this did for our agency, and I know that the other CEOs on the call here will agree, you send a call to the practice at 5:03 and that gets sent to voicemail, that's a huge missed opportunity, right? And you don't have an explanation to your client when you call them at the end of the month and say, yeah, we sent all these phone calls, and they say, well, we didn't have as many people in the chair. And I knew that we had to solve the web chat and the missed phone call problem. And so that was the product that we developed in order to really get into AI. And it's unbelievable. I mean, practices use the AI phone assistant, small practices without any additional marketing are picking up at least $5,000 to $10,000 in additional revenue. Big practices, $50,000 to $75,000 in additional revenue just for not missing phone calls. It's ridiculous. Like that was the problem that we started with, and then we just started adding on different things to streamline products and services and so forth. But that's how we got into it.
Yeah, and you talk about explaining your value to the customer in ROI. That's clear as day. That's massive. So that's awesome, Adrian. JD, I think when we were preparing for this session, you had made a comment about something that you guys were also playing with as it pertains to voice agents. You want to share a little bit about how you guys have implemented that?
Yeah, I mean, to answer the first part of the question, I think that I would have answered that question differently 3 weeks ago, right? It's changing so fast. So if you say, hey, what's impacted what are you using? 3 weeks ago would have been different. But no, my personal belief, this is just my belief, is that it's all going to become very conversational. We talk about zero click, we talk about a lot of different things in our industry. I just think it's going to become, and so we've been working on AI voice and even a chat that is all voice that can be used via phone. So like I think it's probably very similar to what Adrian's talking about. Like, hey, somebody doesn't answer the phone, or if a phone call gets forwarded to them, or to this bot, if you want to call it a bot, or to this AI, then there's an instant conversation. And I mean, it's phenomenal what it can do. I mean, the example I gave you the other day, I think was I think the company does tiny homes. I don't even know if I told you that before, but they do tiny homes, and we were testing it, and we probably had only been working. I mean, out of the box, it was really, really good. We probably only been tweaking on it or messing with it for like 10 minutes. And so, you can put this on your website, you can put a button on the website. So we're kind of testing some of the more of the functionality out. And so I hit it, and my assistant, one of my partners, was talking to this AI. And it was just phenomenal what it could do and how it responded to questions. I mean, it's going to sound horrible, but of course, for a bunch of people just in an office. But he said, "Hey, why are you interested in tiny homes?" And his answer was, "My wife divorced me and I'm broke." And so he's trying to test it a little bit, right? He's testing his AI to see what it's going to say. And it just responded with, "Hey, sorry to hear you're going through some tough times. Tiny living is a great way to save money and get back on your feet." I mean, it was like dead on. And I was like, "Oh, wow, this is pretty good." And so now, you fast forward, another 30 minutes of some programming where it's able to schedule appointments, use other tools, use the tools within that business, like send an email, send sales literature, make an appointment, all of those things. And what that has done is change their business. In their case, they're not open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday. They run it a little different, might be noon to whatever on this day. It's very, very different. But now this agent is having a conversation 24/7. Anytime, if they don't answer the phone, it goes to them. It goes to this. So
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
That's awesome. I actually want this question to take us into this next topic, which is packaging and positioning, right? This is very different than going and selling a customer, hey, we're going to fix your website, we're going to write content for you. This is a much different value proposition. So I'd love to bring Sean and Jimmy into this part of it, but how has packaging and positioning, and of course, Adrian and JD, if you have some additional commentary on how you're shifting the proposition on these agents, I'd love for you to come in after they have a moment. But Jimmy, Sean, how have you changed the package and positioning with some of your AI services, if at all?
Yeah, I can jump in. I think the packages are flexible. We do have standard offerings, and we do an analysis. We look at every client on about 175 data points, and depending on whether they're in startup or mature or high growth mode, then we've developed a little algorithm that allows them to get a score on where they are and where they want to be. It ends up being a little bit of a give and take discussion. There are some AI things obviously available in Birdeye and some other options that we present based on their comfort level, what they want to do in-house. And I think it ends up being more of a budgeting conversation to say, well, if we could do some more AI heavy things in these non-essential areas, that would open up budget for things that we definitely need your help on. And other things that maybe they're not comfortable with. I think when you look at, if you look at reputation management and we're trying to automate reviews, or, how do you respond to reviews? Maybe automating 3 to 5 star reviews is great, but 1 to 2 star reviews need that hand holding and human element to, navigate the nuance of that. Do you want to do it or do you want us to do it? And so we've staffed accordingly depending on where they want to be. So it's more of a bespoke conversation, and then using AI as an outcome and a way to put a package that's perfect for them.
Yeah, I love the word that you use there, outcome. As we've built more AI into our product, when we position it to our retail clients, that's exactly how we are positioning it is, no longer are you getting a software that's just another tool for you to go log into and, put inputs into, but it's actually going to help you drive those outcomes. It is an addition to your team, and an extension of those efforts. So very well done. I appreciate your answer there. Sean, how about you? Have you guys played around with any different packaging and positioning?
Yeah, I mean, from a pre-sales perspective, like most agencies, you kind of go through your own internal discovery, and you have your process and poking and prodding and trying to figure out, what they're leaving on the table, what they're doing wrong, where they're missing things, whether it's from their current agency or what they haven't been doing at all, and that used to be such a manual process. Now with agents, you can automate that, and although it only takes once you get it done 15 to 20 minutes manually, you can get it done in less than 5 now, and that can find more information for the client discovery call at the same time. So and I think one thing that we always try to leverage is the amount of content that is out about the client through just reviews is so valuable. But to a client, typically they're just getting all they're really worried about or concerned about or excited about is the 4 and 5 star reviews that come in, and that's kind of makes them happy. They don't realize the value of that micro blogging, that content that's coming into all those consistent reviews tells a significant story. Whether it's a story about their employees and how well they're doing, what the sentiments are about the overall office, the care, all those different keywords that are put in there that you can, that's the cornerstone content, right? Or also challenges and the negative ones, right? So understanding how much content that is and how you can then use the AI tools to create videos and to create audio files, to create social media posts, all just from those reviews that are coming in. Or what's the biggest complaint about your practice on the review side of things in the last 18 months? And if those complaints are consistent, that should tell you something. That should say that I need to improve operationally in this area because the people have spoken. So we've really leveraged all that previous content that the client has either worked hard on getting from a reviews perspective, or they just happen to be really good at collecting reviews. They have 300 plus Google reviews plus everything else that they have out there that obviously Birdeye can aggregate. That is a ton of valuable content and valuable marketing assets right there. And to use AI to assemble all that and speak to that with the client is tremendous. But I mean, there's just so many of those types of things that you can package and sell like that. But specific to Birdeye and the reviews and the core product of Birdeye, which still to me is reviews, that's cool.
Very good. Really appreciate you sharing that, Sean. Well, everyone, that is going to bring us to the end of our session today. So I first just want to say thank you to our panelists. Thank you to everyone. Guys, we dropped a ton of, there were a ton of takeaways and lessons learned. I wrote down a couple of mine that I took. The first one is you got to get started. You got to take that dive. Even if it's just an incremental dive into AI and helping you be a better agency or helping your clients be a better business, get started, because otherwise you're going to fall behind, and it's ever evolving. So when you go out and you do research and vendors or companies that you're going to partner up with, do your research on them, right? Don't trust everybody. Make sure that company is well funded, has the resources, so that you're also not falling off from that regard. I hope everyone had a great time in this session. Again, thank you to our panelists. Have a blessed rest of your day. and take care.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Paul.
Thank you.